Does Amazon know something we don't? Listen to this. However, this restriction will not apply in the event of a widespread viral infection transmitted via bites or contact with bodily fluids that cause human corpses to reanimate and seek to consume living human flesh, blood, brain, or nerve tissue, and is likely to result in the fall of organized civilization.
You even know what's going on? I woke up in the hospital. That's all I know.
Lori? Lori! Call!
But you know about the dead people, right? I saw a lot of that out on the loading dock, even tossed down the stairwell. Not the ones they put down, the walkers. They were saying on the news some kind of virus. Things got crazy. Man, you won't believe the panic. The broadcast stopped. And that was the last we heard.
My wife and son, they're alive.
They got out of here. They're in Atlanta.
Why there?
Military protection, shelter, food. They told people to go there. Said they were working out how to solve this thing. Atlanta sounds like a good deal.
Listen, one thing, they may not seem like much one at a time, but in a group all hungry.
Man, you watch your ass.
Broadcasting on emergency band. We'll be approaching Atlanta on Highway 85. Anyone hear me? Please respond. Hello, can anybody hear my voice?
Hey, hello? We're just outside the city. Hello? Damn it.
We ought to warn people away from the city.
Folks got no idea what they're getting into.
All I am anymore is a man looking for his wife and son. Anybody gets in the way of that's gonna lose. I'm sorry this happened to you.
Okay, Okay, before I start, I am not trying to scare anyone. I am not trying to freak anyone out. I just want to know what's going on and what Amazon know that we don't, because this is in Amazon's terms of use. You can go and Google it for yourself. 42.10 Amazon's terms of use. This is what it says. Okay, so this is the acceptable use for safety critical systems, blah blah blah. Okay, it's this bit here, right? However, this restriction will not apply in the event of the occurrence of a widespread viral infection transmitted via bites or contact with bodily fluids that causes human corpses to reanimate. Yes, they're talking about zombies. Amazon are talking about zombies. Okay, and seek to consume living human flesh, blood, brain, or nerve tissue, and is likely to result in the fall of organised civilization. If somebody could please tell me what the fuck is going on, and whether we're going down with nuclear weapons or whether we're going down with the zombies, or whether the nuclear weapons caused the zombies. Because if we're all going down, then I'm off to live in Disney World, because I'd rather be living in the happiest place on earth for the remainder of my days. Thank you very much. I'm not trying to freak anyone out. I am freaking out. Someone give me answers.
Have you ever wondered how you'll survive in a zombie apocalypse? Some might say they're going to hide in their house's ceiling, or maybe at the supermarket to secure their needs. Others might prefer to hide in an underground bunker or bomb shelter, while others would want to secure an M1911 pistol and AR-15 rifle to defend themselves. Sounds freaking funny, right? But what if I tell you that the US government has taken this zombie apocalypse as a real emergency, and so they've developed a defense plan for it? And could a zombie apocalypse really happen in real life, or is it just a product of our creative imagination? So here's the story of how the US government is preparing for the zombie apocalypse. Zombies are often portrayed as decaying, rotting corpses, shambling around with a ravenous appetite for living humans. Merriam-Webster defines this creature as a willless and speechless human held to have died and been supernaturally reanimated. According to History.com, the first zombie tales date back to 17th century Haiti, where zombies were believed to be African slaves who had committed suicide and weren't allowed to pass on and return home. As a result, they would be forced to work on the plantation for eternity. According to the Journal of Physics of the University of Leicester, when the zombie outbreak occurs, it will be hasty and brutal. Worse, within 100 days of the dead rising, only 273 people will remain uninfected. Some might take this crazy one and will say, hello? Zombie apocalypse only happens in movies like Resident Evil, The Walking Dead, or Train to Busan. Still, even if it doesn't yet happen in real life, the US government already had a plan to eradicate these zombies as early as 2011. Yes, you heard it right. The US Department of Defense released a strategy to combat a potential zombie apocalypse. It is called Con Plan 888811, also known as Counter-Zombie Dominance. Though potential opponents might be fictional, the military took it seriously. In fact, the first line of the plan states, this plan was not actually designed as a joke. Its 31-page strategy was divided into 3 parts. First, create and uphold a defensive plan to protect humankind from mind-munching predators. Second, establish procedures to eradicate any threat of zombies. Third, restore law and order to a war-ridden economy. It also includes the possible legal ramifications of attacking zombies.
Narcy!
This plan was thought of by accident by members of the US Strategic Command, or US STRATCOM. They found out that the hyperbole involved in writing a zombie survival plan actually provided a very useful and effective training tool. One of the intents of this plan was to train newcomers and planners to think outside the box when it came to devising creative strategies and tactics. US Pentagon, or the headquarters building of the United States Department of Defense, notes, "Our intent was to place this tool into the wild so that others who were interested in finding new and innovative ways to train planners could have an alternative and admittedly unconventional tool at their disposal that could be modified and updated over time." There are 8 categories of zombies addressed within this plan: pathogenic zombies, radiation zombies, evil magic zombies, space zombies, weaponized zombies, symbiont-induced zombies, vegetarian zombies, and the only one based in reality, chicken zombies. Now, could all this talk of the undead be foreshadowing a real-life zombie apocalypse? In fiction, yes, it's real. But in real life, it's still debatable. Some scientists and experts justify its existence, just like people who follow the voodoo religion based in West Africa and practiced throughout Haiti and the Caribbean. They believe that zombies are people revived by a voodoo practitioner known as a bokor. It is a tradition that uses herbs and different animal parts with what they called zombie powders, which contain tetrodotoxin that may cause zombie-like symptoms and lead to paralysis and coma. With these, it could cause someone to appear dead and be buried alive, then later revived. A scientist says in a National Geographic Channel documentary entitled The Truth Behind Zombies that zombie virus is possible through the rabies flu hybrid. The combination of rabies and the ability of a flu virus to spread quickly through the air might have the makings of a zombie apocalypse. Some experts believe that a zombie outbreak is possible with the evolution of one parasite called toxoplasma. However, other experts debunk its possibility. Just like a zombie enthusiast and professor of psychiatry at Harvard Medical School, Dr. Steven Schlossman. His novel asserts that a pandemic that creates zombie-like symptoms is theoretically possible, but a real-world zombie apocalypse would not be possible. Although the possibility of the zombie apocalypse is still in debate, the US government has taught the world that it is better to live ready than to get ready. No wonder why the US military has one of the largest and most powerful armies on Earth.
The horrors of what one virus can do. The coronavirus brought the entire world to a grinding halt, and it took massive containment measures on a global scale. Vaccines were developed rapidly to halt the spread of the virus. That was just one virus. At its peak also, its fatality rate was not more than 4%, and now What would happen if the world comes face to face with an even deadlier strain of an unknown virus? Well, there could be many such viruses hidden deep within the permafrost. The permafrost is a permanently frozen layer, or one on or under the Earth's surface. It consists of soil, gravel and sand, usually bound together by ice. And now a warming planet is causing the glaciers to melt. What I mean to say is that our protective white layer is melting more rapidly than we can imagine. Earlier, our main concern was the amount of greenhouse gases being released from the frost melting away. But now we have a different concern altogether. It is the release of dangerous ancient microbes buried deep under the permanent frozen zone. And this is according to researchers who revived nearly a dozen viruses, including one frozen under a lake more than 48,000 years ago in the Siberia region of Russia. The researchers who have revived a number of these zombie viruses, as they're now being called, have found the potential revival of viruses could infect animals or humans. Now, this is quite problematic. Moreover, in a report published in Science Alert, the same was reiterated by the lead researcher. Jean-Marie Olympic from the French National Center for Scientific Research said that these reanimating viruses are potentially a significant threat to public health, although further study needs to be done to assess the danger that these infectious agents could pose as they are eventually released into the atmosphere. Now, this is a cause of concern, as a virus is something that is neither living or dead, and it has the capability of being dormant for many years. But now, with the permafrost melting away, these viruses pose a significant threat to public health. And clearly, it once again shows the perils of playing with nature. And clearly, more research is needed to evaluate the dangers associated with climate change. Now, to understand what this means, we are now being joined by Sarah Pitt from London. She is the Principal Lecturer in Microbiology at the University of Brighton in England. Welcome to the broadcast, Sarah.
Hello.
So this is, of course, a rather unique finding. We're talking about zombie viruses. Can you explain how such viruses can survive for millions of years, frozen in glaciers and ice, and how exactly can they be brought back to life?
Well, as you were saying there, because the permafrost is like a giant deep freezer, a very low temperature deep freezer, viruses can survive under those conditions. We keep them in the laboratory at minus 80 degrees and they stay such that we can grow them again once we thaw them out. And viruses do need to live in organic material, such as an animal that died still carrying that infection. And if that happens, the animal is preserved intact, and so all any infectious agents that might be inside it. So as everything starts to thaw out, because they've been perfectly preserved, all the cells inside the animal, the tissues inside the animal start to revive, and the viruses inside them can also revive at the same time.
Sarah, also, can you tell us how these viruses could infect other organisms and spread rapidly, even before we can find a way to negate them?
Well, the thing about it is that if they're viruses which are thousands of years old, they might be ones that we're not particularly familiar with. They might be closely related to something that we have around now, but it won't be something that we necessarily know. So if animals or even human beings get infected with those viruses, we might not recognize the symptoms, and we also might not have the diagnostic tests ready to go quite soon enough. And then that's how things spread so rapidly. As you were mentioning there, we're still in the experience of COVID. It spread so rapidly because people didn't necessarily know the symptoms were different from flu or a cold in good time. And then it took us a little while to actually develop the diagnostic tests. We did a really good job with coronavirus because it is closely related to the SARS-CoV-2 coronavirus is closely related to SARS-1 and other sorts of common cold viruses. So we had a bit of a head start from a diagnostic point of view. Whereas if they're sort of thousands of years old and we don't know anything about them, it will take us a bit longer to get the diagnostic tests. And so the virus could really spread before we've really noticed that it's there.
Right, absolutely, Sarah. But while this is being hailed as possibly a scientific discovery, it's a little worrying as well. There's a question of ethics also that comes into play. Humans playing with nature can cause havoc. It's a recurring theme in most Hollywood films, especially when you talk about zombie viruses. Can you share how climate change poses dangers which have not yet been figured out?
Well, in the same way that we don't really know what's going to happen as the climate across the world changes, with things becoming things thawing out, which might have infectious agents inside them. There's also potential risk for things like anthrax, because the spores that's caused by a bacteria that produces these very, very resistant spores. And again, they can be inside animal skins and the bodies of humans who've been infected with it, and they potentially survive for a very long time and very, very well under sort of good frozen conditions, or just being deeply buried in the earth, actually. And another thing that can happen is things like mosquitoes perhaps change their habits and their habitat, and they might actually start, as with global warming, as the temperature warms up everywhere, and it also is more wet. That the thing with global warming is, as we've all noticed, there's a lot more rain, and that's very good for mosquitoes. They could potentially, I'm not saying they will, but they could potentially spread around the world and take things like, I don't know, Zika virus or malaria to countries that didn't previously have them, because they don't have the right species of mosquito. So right. that could all happen. It's all in theory, but it's something that we do need to be aware of.
Absolutely, Sarah. Thank you so much for all those insights, and thanks for joining us on the Climate Tracker today.
Thank you.
Nearly 24 ancient viruses have been revived by scientists. The oldest of them, dubbed as Pandora virus Yedoma, is known to be 48,500 years old. This breaks the previous record held by a 30,000-year-old virus that was uncovered by the same team in 2013. Despite being frozen for many millennia, the virus remains infectious and are being called the zombie viruses. Hello and welcome to India Today. I'm Anjali Istwal. In this video, we are asking, are we moving towards an age of pandemics due to climate change? Climate change due to global warming is rapidly thawing the ancient permafrost, which may pose a new threat to humans. According to researchers who revived these viruses, including the one that was frozen under a lake for more than 48,500 years. European researchers examined ancient samples collected from permafrost in the Siberia region of Russia. They revived and characterized 13 new pathogens, what they termed as zombie viruses, and found that they remained infectious despite spending a long time trapped in the frozen ground, according to a Bloomberg report. Now, this leads us to ask a very logical question. Could the next viral pandemic come from the melting glaciers? Scientists had warned earlier that the thawing of the permafrost due to the atmospheric warming will worsen the climate change by freeing previously trapped greenhouse gases like methane. But its effect on dormant pathogens was not well understood. Now, a team of researchers from Russia, Germany, and France are saying that the biological risk of reanimating these viruses they studied was totally negligible due to the strains that they have targeted, because mainly they are capable of infecting amoeba microbes. The potential revival of a virus that could infect animals, or for that matter humans, is a much more problematic thing. They are also saying that, and they're warning that their work can be extrapolated to show that the danger is real. The study indicated that it is likely that ancient permafrost will release these unknown viruses upon thawing. Though this study hasn't yet been peer-reviewed, but it does give us a warning to stop climate change, to stop diseases. Well, as I told you, this is not the first time that scientists have warned us that climate change can unleash new to us, but ancient viruses on mankind. And earlier research that was published in journal Nature this year in April had found that climate change will result in thousands of new viruses spreading among animal species by 2070. That's likely to increase the risk of emerging infectious diseases, and that jumping from animals to humans. This is what the study said. This is especially true for Africa and Asia, continents that have been hotspots for deadly diseases spread from humans to animals or vice versa over the last several decades, including the flu, HIV, Ebola, and coronavirus. Researchers who published their findings in the journal Nature used a model to examine how over 3,000 mammal species might migrate and share viruses over the next 50 years if the world warms up by 2 degrees Celsius, which recent research shows us it is possible. They found that cross-species virus spread will happen over 4,000 times among mammals alone. Birds and marine animals weren't included in the study. Researchers said not only viruses will spread to humans or become pandemics, the scale of the coronavirus, but the number of cross-species viruses increases the risk of spread to humans as well. The study highlights 2 global crises: climate change and infectious disease spread, as the world grapples with what to do about both.
Nothing happened the way it was supposed to happen. 6 billion people on Earth when the infection hit. I'm a survivor living in New York City. I will be at the South Street Seaport every day at midday when the sun is highest in the sky. Now just sleep. Eat your vegetables. Don't just push them around. Eat them. I'm not playing.
Morning, Hank. Midway through the G's.
God didn't do this. We did.
No! York, Washington, D.C. People are afraid.
I can't tell what you're more afraid of. What you will find, or what you won't.
There were 6 billion people on Earth when the infection hit. KV had a 90% kill rate. That's 5.4 billion people dead.
You are not alone.
Do you know of any other survivors?
They destroyed us. And I don't understand why it is happening this way.
There is hope.
I just wanted to hop on a train, fly away on a plane, build a fort around your bed, stick a knife through a zombie's head. 7 days to die. You got 7 days to die. 7 days to die. You got 7 days to die.
Have you ever had a nightmare? Have you ever had a nightmare that never ended?
I got a granddaughter who likes dressing up too. Cute as a button. She loves Peter Pan. She's always asking this old timer to read it to her. She's sharp as a tack. Full of ideas, questions about the Lost Boys and those pirates. Probably because I never grow old. She says to me, "Grandpa, are you old?" I said, "Yeah, sweetheart, I'm old, and one day you're gonna be as old as me." And this gets her brains all cooking, and she says, "Grandpa, are you gonna die?" And I say, "Yeah, sweetheart, of course I'm gonna die one day. Well, it's not gonna be today." And finally, she says to me, "Grandpa, am I gonna die?" Well, how do you explain a question like that to a kid? So when Halloween rolls around the next year, there she is, proud as punch. She stands up and she goes, "Grandpa, I'm gonna be a pirate." Don't you worry, sweetheart. I'll find you. I promise.
Are you hurt? Move. Okay. Oh, shit!